Hello, and welcome back to Password. We're having a good old time with Dom in the freezer, right? Yeah. He's still a good looking lad. I like him a lot. Okay. I quickly shook my head, and Dom chuckled quietly.
Well, he and I are going to spend some time together before we turn in. You'd best get some sleep.
So who's the top and who's the bottom in this relationship? I like to think that uh, Jack just loves getting railed by this bear. That's just me. I'd like to rail this bear. Okay, yeah, that's just doing what?
Huh.
Some time together? Doing what?
None of your business.
Can I ask a different question then?
No.
Please?
What do you want?
You said you liked easy jobs, right?
Yep.
He went to move, and I quickly realized that that was a stupid question already. Wait, that wasn't my question. If you like easy jobs, then wouldn't it be better if Orlando took over for his dad? Then the jobs would be real easy.
That'd be different jobs then.
But they'd be easy.
Hey, what's taking so long?
Jack stuck his head in the doorway before stepping into the room and closing the door behind him.
The kid had questions.
Seriously? You're blowing me off or Dave?
I'm not blowing you off or anyone, alright? What?
No, nothing, sorry.
Not getting ideas, are we, Dave? Not trying to take my buddy away from me.
Oh, no. I already have a boyfriend.
Boyfriend?
Dom and Jack looked towards one another, almost having a whole conversation with one another with looks and slight motions of their head.
Just get some sleep, Dave. If anyone comes to grab you, you'll know.
And Jack was snickering to himself the whole time they exited the room, their sounds becoming muffled the moment the door closes. Using the blanket, I try to get comfortable, and the cold floor wasn't magically solved with the thin sheet, though. It was better than nothing. Though better than nothing didn't mean much when I was still cold, and the dust in the cabin was clogging my nose and throat. If anything, the sheet made a better mask than something to keep me warm. I passed the time just listening, hearing Jack and Dom have a hushed conversation about something before one of them headed outside, and then they swapped and went back to their conversation. My mind drifted over to Memphis in the room opposite, wondering what kind of man could sleep so soundly while doing such damage. But this was what my dad became a police officer for, to make the word safe. The word safe from people like him. Though, given how things ended up, a part of me died inside, knowing that the bad guys won that fight. Maybe they'd win the next one, and the next one, and the next one too. And at some point, maybe the good guys would win. Not that it seemed likely. Not that it seemed likely. The longer I lay there, waiting for someone to come and get me. Eventually, though, I did pass out. The exhaustion of the walk finally making me succumb. When I opened my eyes, I was still in the cabin. Part of me wondered if this was some sort of Thanatos-induced dream, but the numbness in my fingers told me it wasn't. I mean, at least you got fur. That makes the whole cold situation seem a lot better. I mean, it still sucks, but you know what I mean. My body felt like ice. Part of me sore and stiff from how uncomfortable the floor had been. I went to get up and found the rattling of chains attached to my foot made wandering around anywhere pointless. Pulling out the photo from my pocket, I flipped it over to its backside. Though the message wasn't for me, I tried to pretend it was, and take what comfort I could in it. Was it worth trying to escape? Immediately I thought to Jack and how he was able to chase me down. It kind of meant just running for it was a bad idea. Not to mention anything else to agitate Memphis or Dominic would likely end up with me more injured than I was now. So I waited, wondering when I could see someone again, given how quiet the cabin was. Though it didn't take long, the sound of a roar-like yawn signaled at least someone was awake. I listened to them heavily walk out of the room opposite of the door to the hall. Opposite and down the hall. I could smell something burning before I picked up the scent of coffee, or maybe not coffee, but something similar. Then those footsteps wandered back towards the door, stopping just on the outside of the door, where the were they looking at my door or into the other room? Get up. Memphis talking to the others likely, especially given how he growled out the command, and soon after, I heard more footsteps moving around.
Good morning, Dave.
The sing-song voice he used once he entered the room made me uneasy, though the tiredness was making it funnily easier to cope. Past Jack, I could see a red tail disappearing out of sight, but little else.
Did you sleep all right?
Not really.
Oh, good.
He wandered closely and did something to where the chain connected to the wall.
Time to go outside.
Someone's here for me? Really?
No.
Then why are we going outside?
Oh, that's easy enough. Figured you might like some fresh air, and to be honest, the boss wants to talk a few things over privately.
So you're just leaving me outside?
Yep, pretty much.
What are you gonna do? Chain him to a tree? Jack grabbed the chain and started walking out of the room, and I had to scramble to not have my feet pulled from under me. As we passed the main room to look for Memphis. Wait, it looks like Memphis was eating something wrapped in foil, tinkering with his gun. No sign of Dominic, no, though. Not that it changed much, as Jack led me outside, all the same, and over to one of the many trees surrounding us. In a flash, he had the chain looped around the tree and locked, before turning around and heading inside. No breakfast and no coffee for me, it seemed. Though being outside was nicer than the dusty room, even with the chill of the morning air. I sat down and hugged my legs, trying to get warm. The idea of getting a shower was something I took comfort in, relishing my memories of hot water and lightly scented soap. Then there was the prospect of a fresh change of clothes, so many things that I took for granted, but here I was just without them. At some point, I heard them talking again. Nothing distinguishable, but the three of them were talking over something that had Memphis upset. But Jack said little, and Dom did most of the talking until the conversation went south and Jack started to talk. The door opened and Dom stepped out, dropping down onto the wooden bench just outside the front door. He looked at me carefully, almost suspicious, but then went to look around the woods as he sat there instead. Again, my stomach grumbled, but even then, I wasn't hungry. At the base of the tree, small mushrooms were growing. They looked like things Orlando used in cooking before. That would have just been the color reminding me of him. I smiled, though it faded fast when I realized the reminder, yes, that we were so far apart made me miss him. Was he thinking about me? Worried? Was he safe? Were my friends off the mountain yet? Had they made it somewhere safe so they could call for help or not? I sure hope so.
You're acting quiet.
I almost jumped as I noticed Dom standing in front of me. Not even trying to get away, or call for help. You do like making this an easy job. What's the point? If I yell, no one's around. If I run, Jack would catch me, even without this chain keeping me here. You've got that right. So yeah, it's just a waiting game, really. Have to admit, I wonder what's keeping Oswin from coming back. Seemed pretty keen on returning. He'll come back, right? He wouldn't just... I couldn't finish the thought, though Dom knew how it ended. It's possible. Wouldn't blame him. Don't you know if they've left already? He shrugged, offering nothing. Where is the exit anyway? Thinking of making a break for it anyway. Like you'd let that happen. He laughed, nodding slowly. Right about that one. But boss said not to say a word about it. Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense, sure. You don't have to be sitting there, you know. Might be a good time to stretch your legs as much as you can. Because? Because you're going back into that room after Jack and the boss have finished going at one another. They're fighting? Only a little. What about? Work things. What kind of work things? He got up, shaking his head, giving me one more look before he wandered inside. The moment he got in through the raised voices, stopped and they resumed as they were when I was put outside. Yes, I am saying words. Yes. It made me feel more like a pet than anything else. Not a well looked after but chained to the tree like, well, the obvious. After walking around and looking at anything vaguely interesting within the bounds of my chain, I sat back down as I continued waiting. An hour or two might have passed before anyone left the cabin, and I look up the moment I hear the door open.
Had fun outside.
He didn't wait for my answer, already taking up the chain once more and starting to lead me inside.
It's a wonder no one came for you, huh? Think they've already left? Boss seems to think so.
I kept quiet, and not wanting to think about it or acknowledge what might be the truth. My friends wouldn't just let Oswin abandon me, would they? Or did they think I was dead?
Not happy about it at all, either.
Right back into the room I was contained to. Chained to the wall, I resumed my listening to what was going on. I just had to have faith that they hadn't left me behind and something else was holding them up. I don't care! Memphis suddenly yelling roused me, yes, from my thoughts, and I tried to hone in on what exactly he was yelling about. So what? You're just going to wait for them at the spot.
Not going to make much of a difference if they've already left.
Without the kid, though, brutal. I heard something get slammed into the wall and break violently. Another hour. If in another hour we haven't heard anything, we'll get going. I heard footsteps getting closer, and I backed up against the wall and tried to make myself look small. Where are you going?
To let Dave know what's going to happen, obviously.
The delight in his tone made me think of what his face looked like. That crocked, self-satisfied smile that he wore when he was taking some delight in something bad happening. Sure enough, it was what I thought. The moment he walked in the door, I wondered what he was up to.
How do you feel about going for a walk?
When I didn't respond, he got agitated.
I asked you a question.
What if someone comes looking for me?
Oh, well. They must not think that highly of you, all things considered. Oswin returned last night. They, had the night to sleep it off, and then come and grab you. So chances are you have been left behind.
But...
That's just how it is, Dave. Now sit tight. Maybe you'll be lucky and someone will come. Otherwise,
He snickered as he left, disappearing behind the closed door. So I waited, wondering how long it'd take for the hour to be up. I had no way to track the time anyway. So all, so all it came down to was just waiting. People kept leaving the cabin and coming back, doing who knows what. Maybe taking it turns, yes, to keep a watch, or maybe they were up to something else. I have no idea. Still, as bad as it was, I was getting numb to the fear of it all. Maybe I just wanted it to be over. Maybe it was just the long stretches of nothing happening or lack of violence distracting my way. A swift kick in my side made me jump. I hadn't realized I'd zoned out. I'm gonna cough. No, that's not a cough. Okay. Maybe he was annoyed, maybe disgusted, maybe bored. I couldn't tell.
get him ready.
Dom stepped up and started unhooking the chains from the wall before dragging me to my feet by the arm.
Time to have a little walk.
And Jack stepped up and stand beside Dom as he continued to hold on to my arm. And with a swift punch to the gut, I was winded. It doubled over and hoisted over Dom's shoulder. We left the cabin. Memphis was leading the others somewhere, and I was just along for the ride. As my vision returned proper, I noticed Jack watching me carefully as he pulled up the rear. He said nothing, and I offered nothing back, figuring it was best to avoid unnecessary noise. Besides, the unhappier he was, the least safe I felt, which already wasn't really safe. We walked through the woods for a while, long enough that I didn't know how long we had been walking. But sure enough, a familiar scene came into view. Oh, the watermill. They went inside and started to worry, and I started to worry. Okay. More so when I noticed the grin Jack seemed to be wearing. Why had we come here of all places? It smelled dark and damp. I could smell the rust and rotted wood along with the harsh scent of metal.
Go find a spot for the kid. I'm gonna make a supply run.
Memphis split off while Dom continued on deeper into the mill. Down we went, down to where I'd originally found myself exploring when I'd been avoiding Jack the first time we met.
Here works.
You sure?
What's wrong with it?
Jack looked to me, then back at Dom. Just here.
Really?
Dom started chaining me to something in the corner. A pipe or something that looked like it. Wait. A pipe or something that looks like it. That looked like it. Okay. A few bits of rust here and there.
It's out of the way, and he's not going anywhere without one of us letting him go.
He's not, though. I can stay out of the way. My comment went ignored. Dom rolling his eyes as he turned to Jack and roughly patting himself on the head.
You want to take it up with the boss?
Listen to me, Dom. You know what this place is. I know what this place is. So does the boss. You want to risk Dave figuring it out. Figuring what out? Dom looked to me and gave me a once-over before locking his gaze with mine.
The way off the mountain is through here. Pretty deep, but you'll need to go through here.
What are you doing?
What's he going to do about it? Relax a little. You're not going anywhere, are you, Dave?
I quickly shook my head, answering anything, but seemed silly.
I'm gonna go relax. Do whatever you want.
Okay. I think this is probably as good a place as any to stop this for the part. So I will see you around, everyone.